Hey, Miss Black, is Michelle only there or just you right now?
I'm here.
Okay, Michelle, did you manage to cancel those interviews for today or not? I didn't call you earlier.
Tamar got them canceled yesterday afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tamar.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. 4 o'clock now, and I guess we can start the meeting. Whoever's taking the role, I don't know if it's Miss Black or Miss Only, if you would do that, please.
Malinowski,
Here.
Barron, Mackey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, let's begin with the agenda. This is the Rules and Appointment Committee for March 16th, 2021. After a call to order, the next order of business will be the approval of the minutes for A, February 16th and B, March 2nd. I would entertain a motion either together or individually, whatever the case may be.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 16th and March 2nd, 2021.
Okay, I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on either of those? Hearing none, Miss Only, if you will call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron, Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next, I entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So move to adopt the agenda as presented in today's packet.
Okay, I I'll second it, but we have to make a change on here after discussions with Ms. Only. And if you'll go back, Ms. Mackey, it's part of our minutes. On page 11 of our agenda for the February 16th minutes, the second paragraph up from the bottom where it said, Ms. Barron stated for clarification, the committee is directing Ms. Only to aggressively attack this list, referring to the vacancies on boards, committees, and commissions, starting with the oldest terms and reaching out to see where things are. And that is what we should be doing. We have vacancies from 2018 and 2019. These vacancies are as recent as the summer of last year, 2020. Not just that, but we need to continue with some council business here and get it finished, which would be the potential for changing when the agendas get put out, as well as the council rules. And if we would have conducted these interviews, the fact that they're only vacant since the middle, July, August of 2020, we wouldn't be getting into the business that we need to be for the council. So I ask that they all be postponed and we begin to do just what was said in these minutes, aggressively attack the list of vacancies, beginning with the oldest ones. So having said all that, I would ask the agenda be amended to eliminate number 4A. That's my amendment, if you would accept that on your motion, Ms. Mackey.
And so may I ask, what, are we going to get a status as to if she's aggressively attacking? Is anything replacing those interviews this evening? Or is that just a removal?
It's just a removal for this evening, and we're going to continue with the items for action, which is about the Horizon meeting, number one, which took quite a bit of discussion last time, and I believe Ms. Ashiya Myers has an update for us on that. Ms. Barron, welcome.
All right, motion to accept the agenda with the amendment to remove item 4A.
Okay, I will second that. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Just,
Right.
and I don't think I missed it by sitting here, but I just want to be clear. We're omitting 4A because these individuals are not present, or we are choosing to not interview them so that we can get down into our action items.
That's correct, the latter. We're choosing not to interview them so we can get into our action items and take care of some business that affects council on a weekly basis. And these individuals, while there may be vacancies with this agency, they still have individuals they can conduct business with, and there's the rules. Not only that, but also this is one of those agencies that the city appoints individuals to, as well as the county. And so we need to make sure, Ms. Only is going to check to make sure, because we're receiving applicants from individuals that reside within the city of Columbia, and they should actually be applying through the city, not the county in that case. And I wanted to get legal input on that, Ms. McLean, since I see you here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Malinowski. I'd love to join in.
Sure.
I think we talked about this a little before. I never really went back and did a lot of research on it, but as long as the citizens have an ability to get on the committee, I don't see a problem with if the city's appointed them, they can apply through the city. Now, that only applies to committees that the city appoints members on. We can't keep municipal citizens off of county committees in
Correct.
general.
Correct. And that's why I just wanted that clarification for the new members so they knew that that's where we stand right now. So Ms. Only will be bringing back to us not just the aggressive list of individuals that we need to appoint to these boards, committees, and commissions, but also find out which ones have appointments by other municipalities or agencies as well. And if we get any applications from those, advise those people that they will have to apply through the proper entity. Does that answer your question, Ms. Barron?
It does. These individuals that we were to interview today, have they been notified that are no longer interviewing them?
Yes, Ms. Black contacted them all yesterday.
Okay. I would have liked to have known that, but yeah, I would have liked to have known that. But so with that being said, I was just more concerned about being considerate of their schedule and their time. But given that they've had notice, I understand the point.
Okay, and I'll take the blame for not notifying the committee members because I asked Miss Only, it's actually over the weekend, I discussed it with her. And I did not know if that got done or did not get done until, well, just prior to the meeting, I asked her about it,
So one further point, sir, and that is that, I understand that the items for action are extremely important, but I would be remiss to not voice my concern of the urgency of getting these vacancies filled as well. So I just want that to be heard from you, that I feel very passionate about making sure that we get individuals on these committees in a timely manner. As you brought out my suggestion from the last time to aggressively attack the list, from the oldest to the newer ones. But the only way we can attack the list is that we interview people. And it may even mean that we may have to put in another meeting or two to get things done. Since this is, no, we can only meet at certain times. I take that back. I take that one back because it's not an ad hoc committee. But thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And just for your information, this committee meets as needed, and I think we probably meet more than most of these other committees because we will meet 2 and 3 times during the month to try and get these matters handled. So we'll keep doing it. We'll meet as often as we need it. I agree with you. We can meet every time there's a council meeting or zoning public hearing, and even in between if we need to.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended and a second. There's only, if there's no further discussion, if you'll please call for the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
And Mr. Malinowski,
Yes.
just wanted to let you all know that I was here. This is Allison.
Yes.
And then also just listening into the discussion about meeting, having been on those, I know it can be a long evening when you do longer rules and appointments committees, but I think that also helped get through some of the interviews when we did like a 90-minute meeting a couple of times.
You're right, we did. And I think that may be one of the options we'll have to fall back on is do the hour and a half meetings so that we can do interviews as well as other council business. Agreed. Thank you, Ms. Terracio. All right, so we are down to number 5A. Consider moving the Horizon meeting to Tuesday and have delivery of finished agendas to council members by Thursday close of business. And that is on pages 51 to 54 of our agenda. If Ms. Ashiya Myers, do you want to address that? Because I believe you're the one that has been handling that for us.
Certainly. Good afternoon, members of the Rules and Appointments Committee. At the last meeting, you all asked me to touch base with staff to ascertain the best start date for the trial run of the newly proposed agenda delivery schedule. I did email and touch base with our most frequent agenda briefing producing departments. That's a lot to say in one breath. And majority of them, while hesitant to push a start date earlier than September, have said whatever the will of the body is, they will do. They do prefer the September start date only because that gives them time to basically prepare for the accelerated schedule in any way that they may need to. But again, they will move forward as directed by the body. And that's all I have for the update.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Myers, for that update, and I appreciate staff somewhat giving in to the will of the body, if that's what happens. If you'll thank them all for us. Having heard that, I'm willing to listen to my colleagues that are in attendance as to your opinions, what you think we should present to the full council.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm still in opinion of waiting until September. I know it's something that council has talked about in the past and would like to do. I still am thinking about the fact of where we are preparing for budget and knowing the effort that's going to take for staff to get those documents and get things prepared, and just wanting to make sure that they're able to do their job, but also get us the information in the most complete package as possible. And so that we're allowing them that time to get that done now as we prepare for the budget and prepare themselves to start in September. I think this gives them a good leeway to start figuring out. They can even do a few dry runs in-house to work out any kinks. And when we have our break in August, come back in September, hit the ground running with the new method.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mackey. Ms. Barron, anything?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. I am also in agreement with Ms. Mackey in allowing for staff to kind of just work out the kinks internally. I think it's going to set us up for success. Also, just given we've as the COVID relief packet is unveiling itself to us as a county, I think that we also have to take into consideration some things that will be inserted as we move forward in these next couple of months. And although I would love to see the packet a little earlier, I want to also be extremely mindful of the staff and the packets and the efforts and the work that they have to put forward in order for us to do the job that we need to do. And so with that, I think it's only befitting to support their wish and their concern and to move this to September.
Okay, thank you. How about some of the other council members in attendance, Ms. English or Ms. Terracio, any comments to add?
No, I was just thinking that, in Richland County Council time, September maybe isn't all that long of a time away. So I can be okay with that.
Okay. Well, hearing no other comments, then I would entertain a motion to send to the full council where it will be discussed and voted on, or at least voted on if there's no other discussion. And it won't be tonight because we don't have any report tonight on the full council meeting. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Well, Ms.
Go
Barron
ahead, Jessica.
started.
Oh, I had a question, so you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was questioning about, we're saying start date of September. Do we have a clear time frame? Are we testing this out in September? So are we saying from September to December is the test, and that is what we are proposing right now before we fully make this official?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know it was Chair Livingston that was commenting on having a test period. I don't see him in the meeting. Ms. Myers, do you know what would be a good test period for staff?
I believe that September to December would be perfect, mainly because you have one, what I would call a standard month, where you at least have that week between the two council meetings. And then you have the holiday months that pretty much have the, what I call the condensed meeting schedule, where all the meetings are back to back. So you guys will get a good feel for how that will look then.
As will you, right? All right, so Ms. Mackey, to answer your question, it's up to us to put that in there. And if you'd like to make the motion and say, with a test period of September to December, that's fine with me.
All right, well, I like to make a motion that that we present to council this the Horizon meeting
You're,
and
you're-
try it for a trial period of September. Did you lose me?
yeah, you're breaking up in there. I think if maybe I can just paraphrase here.
Did you hear anything?
Go ahead, try it again.
Okay.
Ms. Mackey, can you hear us?
All right. I make a motion. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead now.
Can you hear me? Okay. I make a motion to send to full council that we change the Horizon meeting schedule and to move delivery of the finished agendas to council, that we start a trial period in September of 2021 until December of 2021.
Okay. I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and the motion and second, therefore, to begin a trial period, which will take place from September to December of 2021, for the Horizon meeting to take place on Tuesday and delivery of the agendas on Thursday. There's no additional discussion. Ms. Olney, if you will call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, Ms. Olney, if you would please put that on the next council meeting, which actually is going to be next month, because the only thing we have left this month is zoning public hearing. You make sure that gets on there, please, as a report from this committee. All right, the next item we have 5B, unless there are truly extenuating circumstances, agenda items should not be listed as title only. It only gives the public 2 opportunities to see an item prior to final approved by council, when in fact there should be 3. That is one that was mentioned, that the committee that mostly affects would be economic development. Ms. Myers, were you bringing something back on that for us, or was that the clerk's office?
I was not the person to bring something back on that. I apologize. I think that may be the county attorney's office, as she's raising her hand.
There.
That would be me.
Okay.
It's actually in your agenda. The language I drafted, I'm trying to find the exact page here.
55.
55.
There we go, 55. So if you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer them.
Anybody?
No questions.
No questions, Ms. Mackey?
No, none.
All right. Thank you, Colleen, for getting that to us.
You're welcome.
And with no questions, I would entertain a motion if we want to either Send it forward to council, keep it here. You want to look at it some more, or send it forward to council with a yay, nay, or no recommendation?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Barrett.
I'd like to make a motion to accept this proposal presented by legal to council for approval.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. Any additional discussion? I guess any discussion. We really didn't have any to begin, so there wouldn't be any additional. Okay, well, we've got a motion and a second to send forward the drafted language on page 55 in 5.2 of the rules here to the full council for approval. Ms. Only, if you will call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next thing that we have are items for discussion. And we've got the boards, committees, and commissions recruitment on pages 56 through 60, which lists all of the vacancies and whether or not individuals currently serving can be reappointed, which were all the highlighted ones, correct, Ms. Only?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can see the term of expiration. Ms. Only, have you started to create a list from the oldest to the most recent of these vacancies?
Yes, sir. And I have reached out to a few of the board liaisons to try to start implementing some more recruitment proceedings from them. As a fact, I talked to the Home Builders Association today about recruiting people for the building codes, because some of those people have been off for close to 5 years.
Right.
And I'm going to see if the Human Resources Department will put something in our newsletter to try to recruit people for the employee grievance committees, because they also don't have anyone on that committee right now. Everybody's terms have expired and we're not able to have grievance hearings because of this.
Ms. Only, isn't employee grievance one of those committees, like with many that we have, they continue to serve until their replacement?
They do. The majority of the people that are on the committee right now are detention center employees, and most of our grievances come from the detention center. Therefore, they can't serve during those hearings, so they're not able to have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And this is something, Administrator Brown, I see that you're here in the meeting. Thank you. And when it comes to the Employee Grievance Committee, is there a possibility that you could send some type of a communication to department heads notifying them of the importance of this particular committee, regardless of where the grievance comes from, and that maybe they could encourage employees under their supervision to make application?
Yes, sir. Certainly, that's something that can be done. Honestly, I did not realize that the Employee Grievance Committee was not staffed, because I know we have had grievances since I've been here that have been going through that committee. So, but certainly, yes, sir, with the information, I can do that, and I'm willing to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I did not know that we had gotten so far down either, that it kind of wasn't staffed to the point where we could not hold grievances. So there's one area that we can address from in-house anyway, and Ms. Only's reaching out to some of the outside individuals, different entities, to see if we can get them to help participate in getting applicants for this. What about somebody like the Business Service Center? That's an in-house department. Is it a possibility also? I guess what I'm asking Administrator Brown is any of the departments that are in-house, such as that one and then the Business Service Center, if they could try to assist, they know who they deal with, and maybe they could spread the word for us that, hey, we've got some vacancies here.
Absolutely. Again, anything that we can do internally, then absolutely. What I'll do is I'll follow up with Ms. Only to make sure I understand all those agencies that are internal to Richland County where we can affect, and I'll take ownership of that with my team to get that done.
Okay, that would be great. And Ms. Only also, I just say now, I guess Administrator Brown will take care of it, but you've got the Airport Commission as one in there, and the CMRTA. I mean, we have an awful lot of money that we put over into that, so maybe we could. Although they're pretty much up to, well, they're one of the ones that are more up to date, that they're 2020 expirations, but we need to get them up to date in any of the other ones here. So,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
me or Miss Only?
Oh, no, it's Mackie.
Okay. I guess looking at this, has this been updated? Well, I know it hasn't, but can we get an update of all the applications that we've received since the last advertisement that closed on March 5th?
Ma'am,
And
I
then-
actually have a list and I was gonna email it to y'all as soon as the meeting was over. I finished it, updating it today, so I can email you that as soon as this meeting's over.
And the other one, I guess I wanted to highlight and bring attention to, I know we're looking at older terms, but the Planning Commission has 2 seats that are set to expire in April, and those folks are not eligible to be reappointed. And so instances like that, I do think they weigh heavily. That is a committee that we need to make sure we have seats, that we have people in those seats. And so I do want to put that high on the list when we start looking at the order in which we interview.
Okay, I see what you're saying on that one, Ms. Mackey, but the Planning Commission, I know, is one of those commissions that an individual serving can continue to serve until their replacement comes up. So unless one of these 2 individuals that's up for replacement steps down, and Ms. Only, you could maybe reach out to them and find out if they would be willing to continue until we get to a replacement. And that would buy us some more time on the back end of trying to get these older ones up to date. And they would still have the needed amount at their meetings then.
Yes, sir. I can get with Mr. Price and see if either one of those people will still be willing to serve. We actually did get 9 applications for the Planning Commission, so that had a good response this time.
Yeah, that was, you say this time, it seems like that one usually has a decent response. But if those people are willing to stay on till we find a replacement, I'd like to go back and get some of these out of here from 2016, 17, and 18. And something else that I was thinking of, we have some of these boards, committees, and commissions that they might only meet one time in a year. For example, the Building Codes Board of Appeals. Maybe nobody comes forward and appeals anything. It'd be nice to reach out to these people, to the departments that have the responsibility for the action that's here for the committee, and find out how many times a year that these boards, committees, and commissions meet, because maybe we need to change the service time that they can be on that committee to a lengthier period of time. Like accommodations. I believe accommodations meets once or twice a year just prior to budget time. That's it. But if they're only supposed to be there for 2 or 3 years, we may be able to lengthen that out and let the people be there for 5 years. And if it's just a county requirement and not by a state statute, then that is something that we should look into also. I've got Ms. Barron and then Ms. Terracio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to just go back to the request that we made of Administrator Brown, and that is, I think that it would be a good idea just to not only, unless, let me preface it by saying, unless staff cannot sit on these boards outside of those that are related to departments. But I would assume if they're citizens of Richland County, they would have the opportunity to serve on these boards. That is my assumption. And if that assumption is correct, then why not just put it out there? Not just we highlight the ones that are internal, but also ask staff if they would like an opportunity or if they have interest in sitting on some of these boards and commissions. I think that it would say volumes to allow to have them on these boards and commissions to bring a different spin. That would be my initial request. If that is that possible? Is that doable?
Well, I can put something in there, Administrator Brown, and you can tell me if I'm wrong in my thought process. And that is that, for example, the building board appeals. The people are appealing because staff told them they could or couldn't do something to begin with. So we can't have the same entity on there. But if you're talking,
of course, in that instance, but you know, it was that building code staff that said it. But if we have someone in HR who wants to be on that committee, could they not serve? Or, you know, go be on, I don't know, the Eastern Richland Public Service Commission. You know, do they have the opportunity to serve in those capacities?
that one, I know you have to live in that district, and usually they get enough applicants for it. Mr. Brown, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think I follow your question, Ms. Barron, and I don't have an issue, nor am I aware of any rules or any conflicts in general that says county employees can't sit on boards or commissions that are affiliated to Richland County. Certainly, if there are certain areas where employees are working in that, you know, as you mentioned, the appeals board, you know, we want to do something like that. But I don't individually have an issue, nor would I discourage an employee from sitting on a county board or a county affiliated board if they were interested, as long as there was no conflict between the job that they did, any organizational rules that would apply.
Thank you. That was just a suggestion. We have a target market or a targeted audience that would allow, you know, for prime recruitment for staff. So that was my first point. And to my second point, it appears that we may have some duplications on our chart, page 57, specifically up at the top, Community Relations Council. There's a nice chunk on page 57. If you look on page 60, there's another chunk at the top of the page. Is that not the same organization? And if it is, we probably just need to consolidate them, or help me understand the duplication.
It's a separate list.
It's a different list?
Yeah.
Yes,
The first,
Ms. Only, would you like to address that, why we've got the two different lists for several of these?
I'm pulling up the document now so I can look at it.
it appears the first list is who is currently serving. The second list are applications that have been received and the date in which she received them.
Yeah,
And then that blank column is if they have been interviewed or not. So,
that's the way I saw it, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the second group on page 60 are people that have submitted an application to serve on the Community Relations Council. And then we have the date we received their application, but they have not been interviewed yet.
Yes, ma'am. You're correct, Ms. Mackey.
Okay, then that makes sense. It's just it wasn't real clear to me, so it was confusing me a little bit. So thank you for the clarification.
Okay, are you through, Ms. Barron?
I am. Thank you, sir.
You go to Ms. Terracio.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. The first question that I have is around the date for applications. I know that we recently had a March 5th cutoff date. Could I have an explainer again around, if you have submitted an application by a certain time, then you will be considered in the next round of interviews. If someone submits possibly just after that date, must they wait for the next round of interviews?
My answer to that, and anyone's willing to correct me, but I say yes, they have to wait for the next round of interviews, because if we allow one to come in, one individual to accept their application the next day, what happens to the person that put it in 2 days late and 3 days late and on and on? We've lost track of a cutoff date.
Mhm.
That
And
cutoff.
so, for instance, if there's an open appointment, let's just say, and no one has submitted by the cutoff date, then when we go to look for people to interview, would we consider the people who have submitted their application after the cutoff date? Could those people be considered if there was no one in the before period?
I'm going to say no, because it's my interpretation that once let's say that I saw a cutoff date and I knew that I would not be available to do service by the time that cutoff in the interview came around, and I needed to wait and I was going to put in my application on the next go around. Well, if you allow one individual to be reviewed and interviewed after the cutoff date, I'm going to be complaining about it, especially if there was only one opening, because I wanted to put one in, but I didn't have the opportunity because you didn't advertise it again. I missed the cutoff date, and I said, well, I did miss this one, or for whatever personal reasons I had, I could not make that one. So I'll put it in on the next one when I see the ad. And if we allow
Okay.
to go before that, I tend to think we got a problem.
So then this all kind of would hinge on the re-advertisement of that seat.
That's correct.
Okay, great. My next question is about the COMET, the CMRTA. I currently serve on the board as a council member. Council voted to have 2 council members on the board. I think I saw the chair on here, Mr. Livingston. Have we named another council member or chosen? Is there another council member that's on deck to join the CMRTA board? Can I ask that question here?
Yeah, you can ask. I did not see Mr. Livingston here, and that would have to be an appointment by him, because it was Miss Dickerson before that was there, and now that she's not here, I don't know if he's appointed someone or not. Miss Only, do you know if that appointment has been made? I don't have that list in front of me of the committee appointments.
It has, hang on one second, I'm looking it up.
I don't want to call a name because I might get the name wrong, but I think I know who it's supposed to be. I just wanted to double check.
How about a district?
I'm actually, I get mixed up on the district number sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr. Livingston has, okay.
Mr. Livingston's got it.
It's Malinowski. I was trying to multitask just now, and I heard you call my name, but I wasn't sure why.
Well, we
You
got
have a
Miss,
question?
we got Miss Only looking up the answer, but you may have it right in that memory bank of yours. And that is, who are the 2 council appointees to the CMRTA right now?
Ms. Terracio and Mr. Overton Walker.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Thank you. That was who I would have named, but I didn't want to call a name if I wasn't sure. Okay. And then the point raised by, I believe it was Miss Barron, about looking into how long people serve, and oh no, maybe it was Mr. Malinowski. And if they don't meet a lot of the time, I think there are some commissions that or some boards that might work out for, but in the case of something like the ATAX commission, that's kind of a heavy lift. So even if they don't meet that often, I think when they are expected to do kind of a lot of work, reading a lot of materials in preparation, being there for the presentations and everything, and making those decisions. So I just think if we're going to look at maybe how often people meet, we might also look at what kind of hours go into that work that they're doing.
And that's a good point. That's a good point. So we need to look at all of that.
Okay, and that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Terracio. Mr. Livingston, your hand is up. Or is that from before? Ms. Barron, you're next.
Mr. Terracio made my point in the fact that sometimes, there are things that the board might do that may not be necessarily a time of a meeting. They may meet twice, but they may do, doing so many other things that take up time. I just want to make the same point she was making.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barron.
Yes, sir. I wanted to speak further to Ms. Terracio's point, and I don't know how we are to get this done, but I am extremely concerned about the deadlines, and we have this block of time that we allow for applications, and then we have this block of time where we interview. I would love to see us move to the point where we could take applications year round, interview year round, to keep something in the pipe at all times. It just appears that it's just the little train that it starts and stops and starts and stops. And I know that may not be a fair assessment with me being as new to the committee. But just knowing that we've got over 60 vacancies that we need to get filled, and across the board, if we're going to do it, to really just keep it going so that we don't have the backlog that we have. Because once we clean it up and make the progress, I think that things are going to look really nice. However, just getting to that point. So I would like to, and I don't know how we do it or if it's done through a motion or what, but I would like for us to consider just having open applications year round.
Okay, Ms. Mackey, I see your hand there. Let me get Ms. McLean to weigh in on that. Is this something that we can do? And possibly, do we have to look at ordinances and state laws on some of these first before we could keep applications open year round? Ms. McLean?
I apologize. Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty there. We definitely need to look at our ordinance about appointing, but I don't see any problem with keeping the applications open year round. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't keep applications on file for any time you needed them. As for when you appoint, that's going to be dependent sometimes on a state. If there's some board you're appointing for that's something outside of Richland County, and you just appoint members, it may be a time you have to do time specific. I'm not aware that ours are time specific in the ordinance, other than when their seats come up. So I don't see any big issues.
You think we'd have to put that in as any kind of a rule change, or it's just an understood type thing?
Is there something written other than, with the clerk now about applications? I'm not aware of it, but
I'm not aware of it either. I don't think we have anything written. So that would just be
internal change, I would imagine. If you take a vote on it, it's what you want to do. I don't see that being a problem as long as we don't have a written rule in place. I'm not aware of if Michelle could speak to that, but I don't know of anything.
Ms. Only, is there anything written that you're aware of?
Not that I am aware of. The only issue I could see it being would maybe be a budget issue with us having it continually being advertised. But other than that, and we keep the applications on file for a year. And if something comes open, we contact the people we have on file and ask if they would like to still be considered.
Okay, but as far as budget goes, we can still do the same type of advertising we do where we pay for it out of the budget, but it's not costing us anymore to keep these open online and through HR and through the assistance of the administrator and the rest of the department. So we can continue to keep plugging away that way to get applications in.
Correct. But if we want to put ads in the paper, that will cost.
Right, but your contact with some of these outside agencies like the Builders Association with Mr. McLeod and whoever else, if you get a contact point there and some of these different agencies and you just send to them and say, we have vacancies in this, and that's not costing us anything, and we can keep them rolling that way, hopefully. I think that's a good idea. So. Okay, if we're done with that one, let me go over and see what Ms. Mackey has to say.
Okay, I kind of wanted to add to that one. I like the idea of doing this on a regular basis, but I think we should have a schedule, and whether it be every quarter so that the public knows in advance, like the first quarter deadline is this date. And I say a deadline for each quarter because that's how we then cut off when we're interviewing. But if we don't have any type of deadline, then it's going to be hard for Ms. Only or anybody to kind of know when to call people and when their application falls in the interview process. And I feel like if we set every quarter deadline for the entire year, then it allows us to better advertise. It's clear, it's on the website. This is our process. Your application stays on file for a year, but if it's received after, April 30th, then this is when it's considered, right?
Right.
And then I think the other piece to that, we have it as a discussion item for 6G.
Right.
I think in the recruitment process, the description piece is very important. I think in order for us to adequately go out here and recruit folks, we need to have these descriptions nailed down so that people actually know what they're doing, and we can have it on the website. We have something for them to go to. So we can organize recruitment right now, but if we don't have the descriptions in place, I still think we're not being effective in what we're doing.
And to add to that, Ms. Mackey, with the descriptions, we also need to let people know approximately how many times they meet, when they meet, where they meet. So they've got all the info to make a determination if they're interested. Okay, I see Ms. Terracio, and then, are you done, Ms. Mackey?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Terracio, and then Ms. Newton.
Sure. I love the conversation about advertisement. I think that whatever budget we have for paid advertisement can probably be spread out, and we can probably avail ourselves of a little more of the free advertisements. I know there are groups that affinity groups, interested parties, community partners that would love nothing better than to share information about opportunities to apply for openings such as these. So I would just advocate for making really good use of those free opportunities and possibly just spreading the paid advertisements out, because to be honest, I'm not ever sure that if I were a citizen, I would ever even see any of the paid advertisements. I hate to say it that way, but I'm not sure unless you were looking for it. You probably aren't even really going to see the paid advertisements in the way that people, consume advertisements in media currently.
Right. Okay, Ms. Only, maybe you could send out an all council email that says, in an effort to spread the word more fully to help fill our boards, committees, and commissions, we would like all council members to submit names of agencies that would do, some type of community service advertising gratis. If we could get that out to everyone, because like Ms. Terracio mentioned some places there, and maybe other council members know some, and they could provide them to you, and then you've got those to start funneling these vacancies to also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if Ms. Terracio.
I've actually been reached out to by the Association of Counties and a group that I'm a member of, the South Carolina Women in Leadership, and they both want to help us to recruit people. So that's ongoing right now.
Okay, great. Ms. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I missed some of the conversation. I apologize. My schedule didn't quite work out this afternoon like I thought. First, let me just echo what Ms. Terracio was saying in terms of the paid advertisement. She may feel bad about saying it, but I don't. I think that some of it is according to our rules, but is a bit antiquated in terms of meeting people where they are and finding information, in addition to having information from county council members. If we don't do it already, I think that our PIO should also look at, what are all of the public community calendars that we have and community notice boards and that type of thing where we can post. But I also think it's important that we maximize all of our existing channels that we have. When I wanted to share information about our last board openings, for example, I didn't see it shared anywhere on the county's Facebook page. So if it's not even on our Facebook page or clearly on our website, I'm not sure how well some of the other things will work. But the comment that I wanted to make about looking at perhaps a rolling period for board applications is to just use that additionally, if you haven't said it already, as an opportunity to communicate with some of our partner organizations, because I do know currently that we have boards where they are adjusting their timelines around us as opposed to when their board openings actually are. So there are organizations that are routinely getting board appointments when they're not meeting, or not getting them when they are meeting based on our schedule. So if we're going to redo the whole schedule, it would be great if we could make those periods align. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Newton. Now, Ms. Terracio, your hand is up again.
I'm just incredibly verbose this afternoon. So yes, and to piggyback on what Ms. Newton said in terms of, going out to look for a social media post, I recently looked, was like, oh, I want to retweet the announcement about this. And I went to the Twitter feed to look for something to retweet, and, basically didn't see anything about it. So I would love if there were just, because as a council member, I don't have a huge Twitter following, especially in comparison to some folks, but there are people who do pay attention to those kinds of things, and we can get the word out organically just by people sharing and resharing posts like that.
Okay, thank you. And one of the big ones I would think is our neighborhood association, who has a lot of contact, I am guessing, with neighborhoods throughout the county and other civic groups and associations that we as council members go to. We could provide all those names to the clerk's office and get them done.
Yeah, that's very true. Good point.
Yeah, Ms. Newton, is your hand up again or still up?
I need to lower it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, you're welcome. I didn't know if you and Ms. Terracio were like those guys advertising the scoop there it is ice cream back and forth. Tag team.
Hey, I just said one thing this whole meeting.
I know.
Love that commercial, by the way. Love it.
I do too. Every time. Okay. What we have now in this item for discussion, which actually takes 6A and 6G together, and that is what I'm hearing. And let's see if I can get this kind of correctly here. And I think we can move this to an action item for our next rules meeting, and then put it on the council agenda in first meeting in April as well. And that is that we try to get these vacancies out to as many groups, agencies, neighborhoods, civic associations as possible, with the assistance of council members Human Resources Department, the administrators, staff, the Public Information Office. And when I say HR and PIO, whoever does it, that means to get it on our own county website, as was pointed out. It's not even there many times. So we need to create some language that will cover all of that. Then we want to spread out the paid budget that we have as much as we can to cover as much as we can for paying for our ads. And again, with that was the comment to avail ourselves of as much free advertising as possible, and that we schedule that while we keep a rolling year-round application system open, we actually do interviews and we look at applications on a quarterly basis. So that way, the applications that come in any one quarter, we go to them first before we get into the next quarter. But we can, going back to what Ms. Terracio was saying early on, one of her first comments, and that is, why can't we then? Legal says it's not a problem. If we have one vacancy and somebody applies after the deadline and we need to fill that vacancy, we can take that person. And this will help, I think, to eliminate the backlog by stopping hamstringing ourselves with some of these technicalities that we've done for years. So does that sort of cover what we feel we'd like to see done here? And we can have Miss Only or Miss Black write that up for us, so it's on our next agenda as an action item, and then it will also be on the next council's full agenda. I got it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So those are items for discussion, so we'll vote on them when it comes back. Having said that, I think I'd also like to see, let me ask you all this. You've got copies of the rule changes that have been recommended to date. We're not going to discuss them today, but if you do, we can put that as an action item, even though we may not complete it. And since Ms. Newton's here, she'll hear that we're going to be discussing it next time, because I know she was asking about it also. So
I think that's fine.
okay, so
Well,
Ms.
I would like to think that next time we're going to have interviews. Is that not the case?
Well,
we can have interviews, but if there's no objection, I think we need to go from 3:30 to 5, make an hour and a half, if that's fine.
Okay.
With it. Here.
That's
Okay.
fine.
absolutely.
All right, so let's schedule a 3:30 to 5, as Mr. Terracio was suggesting we've done before. And let's go ahead and do some interviews. 3 interviews is usually what we will do, and then it leaves us time to get into the other council business at hand. Does that meet with everyone's approval? Okay. And does everyone have a copy of those rules with the changes that were redlined?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good. Then it's 5 o'clock now. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hand up. Okay, Ms. Only, we